Today's volatility was inside of the healthcare sector, very clearly. If we start with the daily time frame chart here first, XLV very clearly bullish. We can see that with the market stage currently in a stage of acceleration. We can see that with this market pulse line very much still being green and has been green for some time. We can also see that with the recent momentum shifts. You can see the 3 EMA crossing above the 8 here, tried to cross below, but notice how the bulls defend this very quickly on the very next day. So we have both momentum and trend on our side here, all to the bullish side. Now, after this green candle and this green candle, today was our first pullback day, a little bit of a pause, if you will. We zoom into intraday price activity, and for much of the day leading up to the final hour, XLV was in sell-off mode. You can see that very clearly here. Hits the aggressive volatility box models. We try to have the bulls step in, but very clearly XLV is currently being run by the bears today, where price continues to keep selling down lower. This is off of the 2-minute time frame chart, which is a bit more aggressive. If you were a little bit more conservative off of the 5-minute, your first signal came after the reversal already kicked in. Now, what's interesting about XLV is not so much the sell-off that we saw inside of XLV, but I think it's its top holdings that give you a little bit more clues of where you want to focus your attention. So, for example, we take the number one top holding, Eli Lilly. Eli Lilly very clearly signaling to us after this first initial break here that there's not a lot of strength here. In fact, bears are very much in control inside of Eli Lilly. If there is strength inside of XLV, Eli Lilly is not the reason to be looking at for that strength. So we keep moving down the top holdings list. So you'll see Eli Lilly, Johnson & Johnson's next. So we come into a chart of J&J. Now inside of J&J, you should notice something different compared to Eli Lilly. We hit our volatility box models, and now all of a sudden, our momentum starts to shift. We see the bulls try, the bears try to defend, but aren't really able to get much further than our conservative volatility box models. All this time, we have 1, 2, 3, and 4 different oversold confirmation signals, and then we see momentum shift into the close. So all of these stocks, J&J, XLV, some of the top holdings we talk about are all very much in play for tomorrow as well for swing trade entries. This is all around picking and choosing, taking advantage of the intraday volatility, looking to ride the move up. So XLV, we saw the sector showed us volatility. We've so far ruled out Eli Lilly, but Johnson & Johnson looks really good in terms of a volatility entry. We also have AbbVie, which looked really good today in terms of a volatility entry. We had the initial bounce up, bulls came in, then we had the bears push price down as they did with all of the other XLV holdings. However, unlike Eli Lilly here, you'll see price just continues to chop now, and bulls each time the bears try to push down lower, bulls are very clearly defending from our volatility box models. So AbbVie, another one with a lot of strength. Finally, the last one I want to talk about is Merck. Merck stood out because of this incredible rally that we saw in the final few minutes, and really this was all in one 2-minute candle. In fact, I was looking at these 110 call options with 1 day to expiration to play this move. At the time of entry, which is right here, they were going for right around 70 cents, which I thought was still kind of expensive given they expired tomorrow. That option shot all the way up to 240 here with this spike up, and all of that happened in less than a 1-2 minute span. So hopefully that shows you just how quickly this move actually took place, and how if you weren't already inside of this position using the models along with our momentum entry, it's very likely that this is something you would have missed. So Merck, another good example of taking advantage of this intraday volatility inside of XLV. So if we were to recap, XLV very clearly a sector which is showing us bullish strength both from trend along with momentum. We use that to then take a look at XLV's top holdings. We looked at Eli Lilly, Johnson & Johnson, AbbVie, and Merck. UNH didn't trigger an entry. Thermo did, but I'm skipping that for today's video. Now, out of these stocks, we saw Eli Lilly was the one where volatility very clearly broke through both the aggressive and the conservative clouds. On the daily time frame, this entry looks okay, but it was the intraday inside of Eli Lilly that told us there's probably some better top holdings that we can focus on. That took our attention from Eli Lilly to Johnson & Johnson. And Johnson & Johnson gave us some really nice entries that we're still looking at follow through tomorrow. Just like we saw inside of XLV, we have a strong trend here. We're currently closer to the market pulse line compared to XLV, so a little bit better in terms of less extended of an entry. And finally, we looked at AbbVie, which looks a little bit less bullish when you see all of the arrows. And we looked at Merck, which had the really nice gain and is also one of the stocks that is a little bit furthest from the market pulse line and has already a strong bullish trend that has been continuing and moving forward. So I hope you found today's video helpful in understanding how to take sector volatility, use sector volatility to take a look at the top holdings, and then pick and choose from the top holdings based off of where you have clues of tradable volatility, along with where you have clues of volatility that you can take advantage of and actually get your orders in and do something about. Take care, and I'll see you in our next update.